Have you ever found yourself wide awake in the dead of night, wondering why sleep seems so elusive? It's easy to dismiss these moments as random, frustrating disruptions, but what if they hold a deeper meaning? For those chosen by God, these wakeful hours, especially around 3:00 a.m., may be more than just sleeplessness. They could be spiritual invitations, moments when God stirs your heart in the silence of the night. Could these restless hours be a divine call? Share your thoughts below. Have you ever felt this way? Let's explore together. In biblical times, the hours between 3:00 a.m. and 6:00 a.m., referred to as the fourth watch, held deep spiritual meaning. This is when powerful spiritual forces, both divine and demonic, are most active, engaging in unseen battles that influence our lives. God often uses this sacred time to stir our souls, calling us into His presence, to intercede, reflect, or gain divine insight. This hour of stillness is designed for deep encounters with God, where His whispers can reach us. Unclouded by the noise of the day. When you wake at 3:00 a.m., know that you are not alone. This awakening is a divine calling, a unique moment where God invites you to be present, vulnerable, and receptive to His voice. These awakenings offer a chance to connect with God on a profoundly personal level, especially when we feel most exposed to spiritual forces. Some may wonder why God would wake us up at night if it is our only time for rest. Scripture explains that we live in a world of unseen spiritual warfare. According to Matthew chapter 13:25, while men slept, His enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat. The enemy of our souls knows we are most vulnerable during sleep. Thus, the nighttime becomes a strategic opportunity for the forces of evil to create chaos, deceive, and, if possible, destroy. Yet, God, in His infinite love, often interrupts our rest to awaken us at these hours, to shield and equip us against spiritual onslaughts. This waking hour may feel like an inconvenience, but it's a divine alarm, alerting you to the spiritual forces at work against you. God calls you to rise, pray, and stand guard against the schemes of the enemy. When we are aware and proactive in prayer, we reinforce a wall of divine protection around ourselves and our loved ones. Have you ever tried to pray late at night, only to feel a wave of exhaustion wash over you? It's as if, just as you muster the resolve to speak to God, a deep drowsiness begins to creep in, making it almost impossible to stay awake. This struggle isn't mere coincidence. Many spiritual seekers believe that these moments of fatigue aren't just the body's natural response to tiredness, they're part of a spiritual resistance. The enemy knows the power of prayer, especially at night when the mind is quiet, distractions fade, and the heart can be laid bare before God. Recognizing this, he seeks to lure us back to sleep, to keep us in a state of spiritual dormancy. Prayer, especially in the quiet hours of the night, is a profound act of spiritual warfare. In these moments, you enter a sacred space where your words and intentions transcend the earthly realm, piercing through darkness and silencing fears. This is where the real work of the Spirit unfolds, where prayers become a shield, a sword, and a means of protection against unseen forces. Each prayer is a powerful affirmation of faith that pushes back against the enemy's schemes, a light that penetrates the shadows seeking to cloud your mind. It's no wonder that in these critical moments, exhaustion seems to cling so persistently, as if to prevent you from fully stepping into this powerful encounter with God. Consider the disciples in the Garden of Gethsemane, who could not keep their eyes open in the crucial hours before Jesus' arrest. Even as Jesus asked them to watch and pray with him, they succumbed to sleep, highlighting a common struggle in the pursuit of spiritual strength. Just as they were physically weak, we too are often swayed by exhaustion, tempted to choose comfort over sacrifice. Yet, this example also serves as a reminder: spiritual alertness requires perseverance. If we can push through the tiredness, If we can resist the pull of sleep for a few moments, we may discover a wellspring of divine strength waiting to sustain us. These moments of prayer may seem small, but they echo in eternity, strengthening us for battles yet unseen. When we respond to this call, battling through drowsiness to engage in prayer, we create a sacred space where God's strength can uplift us. The night becomes holy, a place where barriers are broken and fears laid to rest. Each prayer uttered in these quiet hours reinforces our spirit, fortifies our faith, and draws us closer to God. So the next time drowsiness threatens your nighttime prayer, remember, it's not just sleep calling you back. It's a subtle attempt to silence a mighty force within you, a force that grows with each word of prayer, each whisper of faith. If you've ever felt urged to pray for someone specific during these nighttime awakenings, know that this is not by chance. God entrusts you with a sacred task to stand in the gap for those in need, maybe a family member, a friend, or even someone you've never met. God sees the heartaches, battles, and challenges others face and knows that your intercession can make a difference. These moments of prayer hold a power that echoes through the heavens. As expressed in James chapter 5:16, the prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. God invites you to engage in these prayers, reminding you that your connection to Him allows you to intercede with authority. Remember, your prayers may be the very shield someone else needs. Waking in the stillness of night often brings a flood of thoughts, unbidden memories, and perhaps unspoken fears. This is God's invitation to search our hearts, to confront those unresolved issues we tend to avoid in the hustle of daily life. At 3:00 a.m., our defenses are down, and God brings our attention to the areas where we need healing, growth, or forgiveness. This quiet moment is an opportunity to assess where we are spiritually. God may be urging you to release a burden, confess a hidden sin, or simply surrender fears you've clung to for too long. Allowing Him to minister to these areas brings transformation and renewal. Just as He calls us to intercede for others, He wants us to address our own spiritual well-being, ensuring that we are fortified for the road ahead. Sometimes, those moments of waking in the dead of night can transcend mere reflection. They may very well be divine nudges from God urging us to step out in faith. These awakenings can be seen as a sacred invitation, a call to action when the world is quiet, and our hearts are open to the whispers of the divine. During these still hours, when distractions fade, God has the opportunity to plant seeds of ideas, dreams, or visions within us, seeds that we may have overlooked or doubted during the busyness of our daily lives. In the stillness of the night, our minds are uncluttered, free from the noise and chaos that often bombard us throughout the day. This clarity allows us to be more receptive to God's guidance. Perhaps you find yourself awakened with thoughts of a new business venture that has been brewing in your heart, a relationship you've been hesitant to pursue, or a ministry opportunity you've sensed but been too afraid to embrace. It is in these moments that we can bring our dreams and uncertainties before God, asking for clarity, direction, and the courage to take the steps required to bring these visions to fruition. When we recognize these awakenings as divine callings, we move closer to fulfilling our God-given purpose. It's essential to trust that these promptings are not random occurrences but rather part of His intricate and beautiful plan for our lives. Just as God has woven a unique tapestry for each of us, these late-night nudges are threads in that tapestry, guiding us toward a more profound understanding of our calling. As we embrace this divine call, we tap into a wellspring of courage and strength that God provides. It's in the silence of the night that we can pour out our hearts, laying our dreams before Him and seeking His wisdom. Whether it's taking that leap of faith into a new endeavor, opening our hearts to a deeper relationship, or engaging in a ministry that aligns with our passions, these moments can be transformative. Each time you feel that gentle tug to rise and pray or reflect, consider it an opportunity to connect with God's heart for you. Allow Him to illuminate your path, dispelling doubts and fears with His love and assurance. The night may seem dark, but it can also be a time of revelation and awakening, where the possibilities of your future become clearer and the way forward is made bright. Remember, each nudge you feel is a step toward your destiny, a chance to partner with God in manifesting the dreams He has placed within you. Trust in His timing and be willing to respond to His call, for it may lead you to places you've only dared to imagine. As you respond to God's invitation in these early hours, you enter a spiritual realm more active than you might realize. The Apostle Paul reminds us in Ephesians chapter 6:12 that our struggles are not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. In this time of spiritual awakening, God opens our eyes to the realities of the unseen world, urging us to engage in spiritual warfare through prayer. By accepting His call to rise and pray, you are sharpening your spiritual sensitivity and strengthening your relationship with God. It's important to remember that these moments are not meant to instill fear but to draw you closer to God. When He wakes you, it's an assurance of His presence and protection over you. God wants you to know that He is always with you, even in the quietest hours of the night. Through these nighttime awakenings, He reassures you of His promises, reminding you of His love and steadfastness. In Psalm chapter 63:6, David wrote, "On my bed I remember you, I think of you through the watches of the night." Even in the dark, God is a constant companion, inviting us to lean on Him, to rest in His love, and to trust that He watches over us. His presence gives us peace, courage, and a renewed sense of purpose. Chosen ones, you are called to be lights in a world often shrouded in darkness. Matthew chapter 5:14 declares, "You are the light of the world." A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. When you rise to pray, intercede, and reflect, you are fulfilling this role, shining God's light into the lives of others. You are chosen to bring His love, hope, and grace into a world that desperately needs it. Your calling is not only a gift but a responsibility. You are a beacon of God's presence, guiding others toward Him, and in doing so, you strengthen not only your own faith but the faith of those around you. The next time you find yourself wide awake at 3:00 a.m., resist the urge to simply go back to sleep. Instead, recognize this as a holy moment, a divine invitation to draw closer to God. Whether through prayer, intercession, reflection, or simply listening, embrace the stillness as an opportunity for spiritual growth. These nighttime awakenings are God's way of pulling you nearer, of strengthening your resolve, and of preparing you for the spiritual battles that lie ahead. When you respond to His call, you honor the purpose He has placed upon your life, standing as a chosen one, a warrior, a light-bearer, and a servant of God. In this quiet hour, let your faith shine, dispelling darkness and bringing God's light into the world.